Hey, it's Kyle from Federal Prison Tips, and we are back 10 Toes in with the 10 Toes podcast. I got my man Damon Thrash all the way down from Tampa. Damon, how you doing today?
Hey, blessed and grateful to be in the place, my friend.
I'm so glad you could make the trek all the way down here. So we jump right into it. I don't do all that nonsense about kindergarten and stuff.
Word.
Tell me what you do. What's your relevance to prison, to after prison, to the justice system?
I'm what you called a smart justice and micro business expert.
Okay.
So what I do is I create success plans for individuals who are in predisposition or pre-trial to discover alternatives to incarceration. And I also create comprehensive mitigation plans, so to speak, to tell a story about more serious crimes and why they should deserve a second chance opportunity. But that's just the front end of what we do. I'm also the founder of Inc. Incarcerated to Incorporated. We invest in second chances. And we're just a full agency of education and reentry tools and consulting on the state side. You guys at Federal Prison Tips do mostly federal. You do some state, but we do mainly state.
So you and me, I think we got very similar minds.
Yeah.
Doing very similar things and didn't even know about each other until a couple of months ago.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So tell me about Inc. to Inc. It stands for Incarcerated to Incorporated?
Absolutely. Incarcerated to Incorporation. It's, everything we do is mindset.
Right.
And if you can't make the shift from one mindset to another, then the body or the goal doesn't follow, So
this is you are like at the heart of the cause that is behind my nonprofit 700 Reentry. When I was in federal prison, I taught a lot of classes. I was that nerdy guy that taught all the classes. And, I did business development and entrepreneurship. And see, the feds are a little bit different, but we'll talk about your background. But you, even though you didn't go federal, you have federal experience, basically. Yeah. In where I'm going with this, and that is when you're in the federal prison system, when you're in the feds as a drug dealer, you didn't just go to the corner and sell drugs, and the next day the DEA got you. No, like I tell people, I was in prison with a lot of millionaire drug dealers, and me and you've jawed about this before. They already know profit and loss. They already know marketing. They
quality
already
control.
Know quality control, risk mitigation. I mean, one of the things, and we could get into this a little bit later, but one of the things I've talked about when I was teaching classes in federal prison is the freemium concept that they use for apps. So go with me while you're watching this at home. You buy an app. You get an app. And it's a free game, but no game is really free. They get you hooked on the game, and then you got to buy shit to keep the game going. So
Absolutely.
Your street, your corner boy might give you a taste. You like the stuff, and you keep going, and you keep going, and now they've got a customer for life. And that is the drug dealer business model applied to something that every American knows about.
Absolutely. And that's another example of how the street or urban market influences mainstream business.
But people don't realize that until it's too late. And so for me, my story, and I'll be telling this when we do our opening of 700 in just in a night or so, my story comes from, I applied to 367 jobs. And the door kept getting slammed in my face because I'm a felon. But I'm like, wait a minute, I got all these skills. I know how to do all this shit. Right. And how can I apply that to further my income? And the funny thing is, I was in a TikTok and Instagram live 2 nights ago, and this guy was trying to be a smartest, like, how's that dream of becoming a millionaire going now? Right. And I'm like, dude, we did $2 million last year with my company out of federal prison. But, without my mindset, I wouldn't be able to do that. And now me and my partners in the nonprofit and even partnering with you. I mean, we're kind of gelling off each other. You've offered to mentor me in some of the things that you've already crossed the path with, and we can help you with some stuff. But
Absolutely.
it's all about taking these skills of even mine and making it a useful, actionable skill that I can use to, one, stay out of trouble, and two, sustain a decent life going forward. I mean, I'm about to be 50, but I'd like to live 20, 30, 40 more years and in decent conditions, and I can do that. And not everybody, but most of the people that I've been to prison with could do it as well, and they have it in them already. When you're eluding capture for months, weeks, months, years, however long you're eluding capture for, you're doing it. So just take it and keep doing it.
That's strategy. I did it for almost 2 years. Yeah. Eluding capture from the U.S. Marshal and the state narcotics task force.
Right.
But to just to
but
add
then you
to
stayed, you were still making money.
Yeah.
But you had to, but before you became on the target, before you had to elude the capture, you had to get on the radar. In order to get the radar, you had to be pushing some weight and making some money.
Absolutely.
So you also possess all these skills that we're talking about.
And the thing about it, I talk about this to, a lot of the younger cats who was kind of 1 foot in the streets and still trying to get out, is I made the transition from hustler to entrepreneur. Well, hustler to investor. I skipped the whole entrepreneurship piece.
You've told me that before.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it when you first told me, but then now I do.
And that's what we're filling in now, me and you, Kyle.
Right.
We have those natural transferable skills from the streets. You in the corporate field, me in the sales business field from, narcotics and whatever else we used to do back in our illegal time when we didn't know as much, But filling in the blank, had I known or had a little bit of a formal education on how to run the businesses instead of creating fronts and putting other people in position, putting the business in their name, putting 5 cars in this person's name, putting property in this person's name, because you don't have the legality and credibility to run the business portion or the entrepreneurship portion.
Right.
So with what we're doing at 700 and with Ink to Ink, it's like all of the geniuses that we were incarcerated with, they didn't understand that particular stretch, and they didn't understand how to make the transition mentally.
See, the thing that I'm most excited about, Damon, is now, we're in South Florida doing it. You're up north doing it. Now the whole state, with the two of us together, the whole state's doing it. The whole state of Florida.
This is serious, y'all.
And we got a lot of drug dealers and criminals in Florida. Florida is, I believe, the retired criminal capital of the world.
I think so. I definitely think so. And then you think about this. You have Miami, which used to be the cocaine capital of the world. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Then you have the retirement capital with Palm Beach.
Right. And all the mobsters are there.
And all the mobsters are there. Then you got Tampa, the tax fraud capital of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Then you got all of those northern cities. I'm from Pensacola, and we call it small town, big hustle.
Right.
It's so many unknown millionaires that came out of the drug business in these little small towns, And you bring all of that together through what's connected. Everyone who stays too long in an illegal racket or illegal business ends up either in the state or federal prison. Talk about purpose. Talk about us coming full circle with our purpose to help statewide and then eventually nationwide. This is going to be great.
So I had a group of people in here on Friday, and we were talking about terms and conditions of supervision. And so I coined this phrase. I said it the other day doing a different podcast. I don't associate with non-felons. So let's find out. Let's find out how you got here to Ink to Ink. Because for you to have credibility as Ink to Ink, you had to have been incarcerated, because now you're incorporated. So tell me a little bit about how Damon got incarcerated.
So a little bit about childhood. Man, I came from a family of blue collar on one side, my mom's mom was a chef, and she was just an enterprising woman. She bought properties. Her and her friends, they opened up a social club called Hi-Fi Social Club. These are a bunch of black women and one black guy who started buying up properties all over the city. This is my grandmother. Right?
Okay.
Then my mom, my grandfather, who was a blue-collar World War II veteran, and he had a trade as a brick mason. He contracted with the Navy, the federal government. So my mom and my
in Pensacola?
aunts, in Pensacola.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Navy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they came from a pretty middle-class, upper middle-class black community, right? Well, my mom ended up meeting my stepdad. I think she was like 7 months pregnant with me. And shout out to Pops. My Pops is a legend, street legend. And in no way do I glorify the street life, but this is all my Pops knew, right? She meets my Pops at 7 months, and it basically changes her life. She has me. He's the first example of a father that I knew. As a matter of fact, I didn't know he wasn't my real father until I was around 12 or 13. And I learned the principles of what it was to stand on your word and be a man through him, and also how to hustle through him. Even though he was a guy that, was a street hustler, he was a good guy and a provider, and he was a respectful, mannerable man, and still is.
Right.
So when cocaine hit the streets, I grew up in a project called Saigon, Truman Arms, right? A lot of guys from Miami migrated. I know you remember the Miami boys, the whole migration of Miami coming up north to Atlanta, the northern cities, right, trafficking cocaine. Well, my stepdad's family was from down south. So I had a mix of being around them, being able to, travel south and see things as a kid that most kids that were my age didn't. For example, in 5th grade, they brought in a big back TV. Remember the big bags, right?
Oh, yeah.
A VCR tape, put it in, and it was a video about crack. All of the kids, except for the kids who grew up with me in the projects, right? All the kids are looking at it like, what is that? This is already had been at my house for a whole year. And I'm watching my stepdad and his crew and my uncle and them accumulate so much money off of this. We lived a great life in that life at the time. But as a kid, you're like, you don't know that this is wrong.
Right. You don't know exactly what's going on.
You don't. So, at one point, I ended up being recruited to deliver packages for my stepdad and them from apartment to apartment. The rule was, take this package, nobody stops you, you don't stop, you get $20 going, $20 coming back. This is the 80s.
Right. How old are you?
I'm like 9.
Shit, so $40 for a quick run.
And
at 9?
More than one trip.
Wow.
So, and I'm not saying this to, my mom was a young mom. My mom was fully dedicated to my stepdad. She was a great mom. So I'm not tripping on that. But it was just the time in this nation's history. It was the start of an epidemic. And
this is what your stepdad did for a living.
This is what he did for a living.
Right.
So
some guys sell cars, some guys are accountants.
Yeah.
Your dad did this. And you were a kid, so you didn't have any idea it was wrong.
No. And it was, as I got a little older, my stepdad went and did some time. And things got hard. And when things got hard, I was presented with an opportunity to really start full-fledged hustling. And I used to ride around with my stepdad sometimes, and most of the cats that he dealt with knew I was his son.
Right.
So that carries, your stepfather or your uncle or your bigger brother. People give Plies a lot of flack about his brother being this and he ain't never did this. Bro, it's just like a kingship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're born into things that you don't have to be exposed to. You're just able to see them from a distance. That doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity or you can't speak on it.
Right.
So when I took the opportunity to get involved in the streets, it wasn't out of me being excited to go into the streets. It was because we were struggling.
Yeah.
And what made it easier, the streets was already laid out for me.
And you had,
through my
you had a
stepfather.
network of people
Yeah.
from your stepfather.
Yeah.
So tell me about your actual case. Now, the DEA looked for you.
Yeah.
But they didn't ever take it to the feds?
So my case was a DEA funded case. From the top down, it was a U.S. Attorney Commission case. But the U.S. Attorney and DEA and the state task force kind of fumbled me because I had a best friend, right? Me and him grew up together. And he was dealing with some Haitians. I was dealing with some Panamanian/Haitians. And for some strange reason, they assumed that me and him were in business together. It was two totally different crews.
Right.
So while they're doing their investigation, they're trying to get a hot buy on me. But at that particular time, I had like 15 to 20 people that I'm fronting. I'm not doing no hand-to-hands if you're not somebody I grew up with or somebody who has been with me since the inception that I really respect. You can't get nothing from me like that. You have
No,
to
I
get
mean,
something.
that's
You know what I mean?
how the experienced people play the game.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it got to a point to where when you reach a certain point in the streets, you don't have to hustle every month or every you get a load, you run it 2 months, you're off 6.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's how it was at this point when DEA started to kind of close in on us, you know. But they assumed that I was partnering with my best friend. So what happened was my best friend got caught up on a reverse sting through his connect. His connect was hot in Miami.
Okay.
Got followed back up to Pensacola. And they did a reverse sting on all of the people who that particular plug was serving.
Supplying. Yep.
Guess what? At the end of the night, they had somebody on the list that didn't show up. Me. I didn't deal with dude.
Yeah.
So now, and mind you, I get these reports later through my attorney. They're wondering, why in the hell is Dame didn't show up?
Right.
You know? I'm in Atlanta on 285, pulled over when they do the sting. I'm in a brand new Suburban. And they got me on the side of the road trying to gauge whether or not I still had some type of involvement with what he had going on. Anyway, they said that I fit the description of a bank robbery. That's what the FBI said. They ended up letting me go.
Oh,
but
my God.
Turns out that my best friend ended up getting indicted, and I was nowhere on that indictment. So the feds doubled down to get a buy on me. So my best friend is wanted because he didn't get caught that night. He ends up slipping DEA and going on the run. Who's the person who they think that would be able to identify where he's at?
You.
Me. So now I can't catch two people talking. Now it's like, wow, what is he still doing out, you know?
Right.
And then my team is like, we're so hot to where we have to move to Atlanta you got a small little spot called Foley on the other side of Pensacola,
Alabama. Right.
Foley, Alabama. I'm kind of having to be creative, but then it got to a point, Kyle, where I was like, you know what? I'm done because it was too stressful. You know, I had really accomplished way more than I thought that I would in the streets. You know, I got my home, I got my little front businesses, I got plenty of money, you know, and I try to just walk away from the game. But I found something that most people who were in the streets like this can relate to. When you just walk away, you don't realize that you have so many other people depending on you. All of those people who you've told, hey man, this is the last run, they done heard that 50 times. But when it finally comes to fruition, they don't believe it. And when you finally do it, you're the worst person in the world to everybody. You're the worst motherfucker to everybody. They hate you.
Damn.
Because nobody prepared for this day. Hell, I didn't even prepare for it, you know? So now everybody's against you. You're isolated. So for me, it was like I was in a bubble. And my lady at the time was like, go back to school. We got the house. We got everything set up. But I had been in the streets, man, since I was 9. I went and sat in a adult high school class at the local junior college, and my mind wouldn't stop racing. I got a phone on me when people didn't have cell phones.
So this is what, like 90s?
This is like 97.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it was to a point to where I just couldn't quiet the noise, and I just felt like I was isolated, and I didn't know who I was. I hadn't discovered who I was yet. I was 20, 21. I was a kid,
right?
You know? So this is how I ended up catching my case. An old connect of mine, Cuban friend of mine, showed up. We went and had lunch on the beach. He told me his nephew had ended up shooting somebody in Little Havana, and it was hot. He needed to move some stuff, and he gave me a number I couldn't refuse. I, against better judgment, I go get half the money, get it, and I get to work. Now, I called all the people who I felt like I could trust and who I didn't want to, who didn't really shit on me, right? Because you know once you said it's over and people who really didn't fuck with you like that, they're going to talk shit.
Right.
So one of the reasons why I did it was to say, I'm still that person. Yeah. You know, that's how we thought back then. So I get to work. I called all of these people. I put the work back out there. But it was this one particular close person that got close to me that I never in my life knew was a DEA informant. It was a guy that I kind of raised, even though he was around the same age as me. I've been in the streets way longer than him. So he looked at me as an older brother. It was my first cousin, who was like a sister to me. Her husband, who was my ace before he went to prison. I went to jail in 95 for 60 days for some tickets. I couldn't get around it.
Right.
The feds end up picking him up. He gets 28 years. I get out from doing the tickets. I didn't take that hit because I was in jail, right? I started taking care of sending him $300 a month because that's what he asked for, $300 a month, right?
Yeah.
And eventually she ends up leaving him because she meets another guy, and the money fell off. I didn't know that he hadn't contacted, or his DEA case handler had contacted him and said, hey, can you get a buy on Damon? We'll let you out.
They'll let you off?
That's what they told him.
Holy shit.
This is what that whole thing about the third-party community. I got hit on a third-party a third-party
proffer or something.
Yeah. The whole thing they was talking about with Meech.
Yeah.
That's how I got hit. It was my cousin's husband's younger brother.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he kept bugging me about, man, help me out, give me the work. When I finally got to work, you know, I called him. Hey, let me pull up on you. I pull up on him. Let me see if you for real. What you want? He wanted a 9. So I ended up, okay, you want a 9? All right, cool. I ended up serving him the 9, right? I actually ended up giving him the 9 and for him to give me the money later, right? But he was wired by the DEA. They did a buy walk. If y'all familiar with what a buy walk is. DEA, they do buy bus for state cases. The buy walk is to get the weight.
Yeah. And
so
then they let you keep going.
They let you keep going. So they do a buy walk on me for the 9. The next time he rolls up, he pays me the money. He wants a half. I'm used to things moving that quick.
Right.
You know? So for me, a half wasn't an alarming ticket.
No, nothing's popping out at you yet saying, uh-oh.
nothing is. So I end up giving him the half. So a couple of weeks go by, he hit me up. Hey, big bro, I'm ready. All right, what's the ticket? He wants a whole unit. At that day, I had a really close partner of mine, two of them with me, and they like, who is that want a whole joint, you know? Because it's only a certain amount of dudes in the city that's buying
that can move that.
Yeah, you know. And I tell him, and he's like, my partner, he's like, bro,
that don't sound right.
That nigga is
working.
I'm like, what you mean? By this time, though, we're at the townhouse. He tells me what's up. And my older OG, God bless the dead, he says, give that joint to him. Take it. You go to the back, run. We're going to go in the house. We're going to act like everything's cool. We end up getting out of the car, knocking on the door. My other partner waits, who has the joint. When we go in the house, he gets out the car, go behind the house, and just run. Long story short, he gets away with the joint. We talked a little bit, and then we say, hey, give us a minute. We'll be right back. We get in the car and pull off. DEA figures something's going on. When we pull out, they
grabbed you.
That's how we know something was happening. But they didn't arrest me then, though. This is the crazy part. I'm thinking, oh, I'm arrested. So they let me go. So I call my lawyer. I call my pops. I'm like, man, what the hell? I done served this dude twice. Why they ain't? He's like, oh, let's just sit and let's just wait. We'll figure it out. Later on, I find out the reason why they didn't grab me was, for one, the 9-buy that I got convicted on in the state, it was the buy wasn't controlled. The second buy for the half, there was no audio. The audio was jacked up on it. And there was no visual.
Damn.
Right? And they never got the third buy. So this is why the U.S. attorney chose to not
go after you. They kept the state case.
Yeah. That's how I got blessed. You know.
Oh, no. How much time did you do at the state?
I did 17. But if I would have went fed, I had 2 prior crack convictions and a firearm. My offensive level, I think, was at the time 44, 45.
Life.
Yeah. And that's all they kept saying. Oh, we got you. You're done. Unless you do this for us, you're done.
So now, what year is this that you went away?
I went away in 99.
And when did you get home?
2016.
So 2016, you get home from state prison.
Yep, 2016.
On that bid, you went everywhere, right?
Everywhere. Started out, oh man, Dade CI. Left Dade CI, went to Hamilton. Left Hamilton, went to Liberty. Left Liberty, went to Century. Left Century, went to Columbia. Left Columbia, went to Bay. Then I was tagged institutional need. Institutional need in the state is, I was a GED tutor. So whenever they needed me to go to a prison to teach GED, be a security orderly, they would just hit my rack, hey, transferring. And I would be at that institution next 3 days going through transit.
So you get home in 2016.
Yeah.
How much paper did you have?
None.
Oh.
First time. See, the thing about the state is, if it's your first time doing collective DC time, if it's not a sex offense or a habitual felony offense, you get no CRD.
All right.
Yeah. And for me, my time was kind of, in the state, my time was, it was G time. It was shot caller time. It was, your reputation precedes you. And, it's like, prison is just like a smaller unit of the streets. If you did right by people and you are who you say you are,
So your face card's good in the state of Florida.
Good.
Yeah. Most people know you. Yeah. You ever heard of 1090 Jake?
Yeah, I heard it.
You know any of his stories?
Yeah, I've seen all of that. He carved out a nice little piece of the internet for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
But there ain't no way the stories he's telling is right.
I never ran across him in the state system. I don't know whether he did time between 99 and 16, but um, and if he did, he wasn't anybody relevant in my immediate circles. You know, so
But they know you.
yeah.
So talk to me about how we get from that long state prison sentence to ink to, you know, now you partner with some of the same people that put you away to help
Right.
other people not
Yeah.
go away so long. How does that work?
God, man, God. First and foremost, my grandparents were two God-fearing people. I knew God before I knew myself. My grandparents taught me who I was created in the image of when I was a kid. You know, um, so going into the streets, then ending up in prison. Even in the situations when I was in the streets and things took a wrong turn, I always would revert back to my spiritual fingerprint, which is praying to God, asking God to deliver me. And God delivered me so many times in the streets from life and death situations and situations where they probably would have been building a federal prison on top of me.
So how did he put this on your heart? Like, did ink to ink come to you in prison? Is it in your sketchbooks from prison?
It is, but it was more a spiritual encounter that pushed me towards it. Because when I went in, it's just like the streets. If you got the capability to make it happen for your neighborhood or for your hood, you're gonna bring everybody up. When you hit that yard in the state or the feds, when people know you and you have that ability, you got a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make it happen, or hey, I'm a civilian now. You know what I mean? I wasn't a civilian. I was still doing my time from the inside out on the phone, waiting on appeals to get through. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I had met a bigger connect, and I had figured out how to do what I did previously better. But God says, you know what? That ain't what I created you for. That ain't what I prepared you for. So what I was doing at the time, I was bringing in a pound of weed every 2 weeks through the maintenance crew and selling it 3/4 of it to three different, y'all call them cars in the feds. We call them sets in the state. So 3 different sets. The Dirty White Boys, Spanish Cobras, and the Mexican Mafia. And I was giving the other QP to the home team, right? I'm doing 4,000 laying on the rack, right?
Why the hell not?
Why not? I was arrested, and you get arrested in prison. They call it the hole in the state and the shoe in the feds. I get arrested on conspiracy to bring in contraband onto the compound. Too many mail outs, too much, you know how it go. So I have an indefinite date. I'm in the hole on conspiracy. I'm probably going to get shipped. My institutional need status has been snatched, right? All of a sudden, the chaplain comes to my cell. And anybody in prison, you don't want the chaplain coming to your cell, man, because it's only 2 things. Somebody's dead or somebody's really hurt. You know what I mean? They told me my mom was in intensive care and she was fighting a very aggressive strand of breast cancer and she wasn't expected to make it. All right, so I'm praying. I'm just asking God to deliver her. And what I'm about to say, you can't make this stuff up. I know we're in media, but we keep it 100. But you can't make up any of the stuff that we do or what we talk about. 3 days later, the chaplain comes back to see me again. This time, he tells me my middle sister is in ICU because while she was waiting on my mom to recover, she collapsed from an aggressive form of thyroid cancer. And she was in emergency surgery.
Oh, my God.
Praying. As your podcast says, standing 10 toes down, Maybe a week later, my attorneys, God bless the dead, his paralegal comes to see me, hands me a letter, I signed for it. All of my appeals have been denied. Perca-Rem, no opinion, no nothing. And I had a, for sure, Fourth Amendment violation ineffective assistance of counsel for my attorney not filing for inadequate control by and misuse. My arrest warrant had a lot of omissions. You know how to,
Oh yeah.
they perk around me, bro. I knew I was gonna beat the case. I already beat the state 3 times, 2 times in trial prior to this case, and 3 times in trial on my other conspiracy cases on this case. So that was heartbroken. One of the young ladies I was dealing with that I was funneling a lot of money through and had a lot of money, that she was handling a lot of business for me. She just decided she couldn't do it anymore and took off with the bread.
Oh damn.
Yeah. So that hit me. But this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. I actually heard about this before my appeal. One of the young cats that I was mentoring, R.I.P. James. R.I.P. James. He got killed in Arizona on his last deal. And the deal was with some people that I knew. And, in my heart of hearts, I just felt in some way that I kind of was responsible for connecting those people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't in connecting anybody for that purpose. It was just all of us did time together. Yeah. They just met through us sitting on a rack, kicking it. You know what I mean? And then when I hear about my appeal, man, I couldn't handle it no more. I just started sobbing, bro. I went to a point where I blacked out. And most people who don't understand how the Holy Spirit works for the greater good of the purpose of God's kingdom won't really get this. But God gave me an ultimatum in that moment. It's like, hey, you either going to follow me
or you're going to end up dead.
Or it's done. I'm taking my hands off. And all my homeboys, bro, I grew up in the thick of it. They know. For them to see me in this position right now and not went back to the streets, bro, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
We the impossible, bro.
Yeah.
I never went back. That day.
But part of it is like, we people around us, me and you are very, I was like, I will sleep when I'm dead. I have got shit to do. I am still on this plan plan that God chose for me that's in my brain, and we are going to get it out because I did 7.25 years. You did 16?
16.
16. So I didn't I did about half the time you did. But I still, I was on vacation for 8 years. I was sleeping on a rack reading books. I slept like I got way more sleep in prison than I do on the street because there's just so much out here for us. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like what was the first thing that you did when you got home to further this mission that you're on?
I'm gonna regress just one bit, right? I didn't wait till I got home, man. When I left the hole, when God spared my mom and my sister, I went into I didn't have anything else to look forward to as far as an appeal. I just started reading everything that wasn't nailed down. And I met people from different cultures because of how I was moving and how much respect I had, on the compound. So I was meeting people from all over the world. It's more people in the feds from all over the world, but the state's the same way.
Especially
and I'll put it like this, an interesting
in this
fact.
state.
In this state,
a lot of
right. California, Texas, Arizona, Florida. Interesting fact. All of my co-conspirators, all of my homeboys, all of them, all federal, right?
Right.
So I understand the concept, stepdad, everybody. In the feds, it's the top, you have a top 1% in the feds, but then you have another 40% of all money getters, right? In the state, you have a top 1% too. You have kingpins in the state.
Oh, yeah.
You have really money getting people in the state that are really, some are waiting to go to feds and some just like myself, evaded the feds, but got a bunch of time in the state. Then you have the other 89% of just straight
hand-to-hand street rippers.
right. You know?
And that's the thing. In the feds, you don't get that normally. Because the thing is, a funny thing, I mean, it was marijuana, not coke, but I had a guy in here who had moved like 1,000 mattresses filled with marijuana. And we were talking about President Joe Biden and how he relieved all of the low-level marijuana offenders in federal prison, but there were no low-level marijuana offenders in federal prison. You're talking about people that, got busted for smoking marijuana, but they're not in the feds.
No.
Those are the guys that maybe did some state time.
Yeah.
But, so you were with the group of kingpins in
the 1%.
You were in the 1%.
And all of us, we all hung out together. We were on the compound. We had our own section. You know what I mean? And everything kind of moved through us. So I started, mingling with people from all over the world. And I met these guys, man, and they started passing these books along to me. You know what I mean? And I was
Rich
helping
Dad,
out.
Poor Dad?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, The Spook by the Door, How to Win Friends with Influence.
48 Laws?
48 Laws by Robert Greene. The list goes on, man. And, bro, the Midnight Club.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
See, the
God.
thing, when I was in federal prison, I had a multi-million-dollar case that was made into 2 movies. When I got to the camp in Montgomery, we had a club that met on Saturday of people that had documentaries made about them. It was a very exclusive club with 14 of us. They invited me because they'd seen that I had a documentary, and I didn't understand at first what was going on, and then I realized, in the feds, there's the big boys, and we joke about it, but we've had dinner with like made men and shit, but it's the whole mentality. So, I totally understand the concept of starting while you're in prison. The company that became Federal Prison Tips started as a company I started called Razor Wire Media, and I started Razor Wire Media in prison. I binded the LLC on the state of Florida website on a cell phone.
Same story. After getting downloaded with the plan, because I got my institutional needs status back, I started teaching GED, and I was a classification orderly for Miss Ford. Shout out to Miss Ford, man, at Bay. Solid. They came and asked me, and this is how it all got started, to get back to your question. She came and asked me what type of courses would get more of the African-American crews into the classroom. And at the time, you got to think about it, man. They didn't have much stuff going on in the state. You know what I mean? As far as education curriculum, they had small engine repair. They had a culinary arts course and a horticulture, something like that. And I told her, and I think it was one of the superintendents or whatever, business management, entrepreneurship.
Oh, for sure. We did at Montgomery. This was Shark Tank was in its heyday in 2017 or 2018 when I did this. I taught a business plan class, and I wanted to do a pitch competition like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So I went to the supervisor of education. She's like, who is going to listen to your pitches? I said, let me ask the warden at Mainline. And she was like, you don't want to bother the warden. I said, let me ask him. So I harassed her until she let me ask him, and we did it. And then, the camp had an auditorium. This is pre-COVID. So we had an auditorium where we'd get together and watch movies on the weekend. So, we did 12-week business planning class, stood up in front of it was the warden, the AW, like 4 people that worked in education, a couple COs. And they stopped doing it with this new warden that's at the prison now. Yeah. But under that particular warden, they just kept doing it for years until I left.
Bro, yeah.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, and that's what Ink to Ink is all about. And that's what I'm doing with 700.
Absolutely.
And I don't care if you were a drug dealer pushing, pushing weight, a good amount of weight, and you want to do a landscaping business, let's do it big, the way you were running the street. Let's have four.
Right.
Let's have 4 crews. Let's do every lawn. Let's contact, and people like to feel good. And this is what I've noticed. So the way that we started 700, and I'm going to jump into this a little bit tomorrow, is, federal prison tips fund 700 for the most part.
Right.
But then at the same time, I have a bunch of clients whose kids are in the feds on meth charges. And these are affluent clients from South Florida. Right. And they want to know, what can I do? What can I do? So you know what? When I decided to do this, it was an email to everybody. Hey, you've asked me before what to do. For $1,000, I can do this. For $10,000, I can do this. For $20,000, we can do this. We can, help a felon start a barbershop. We can help a felon start a landscaping business. We can help them get their real estate license. We got 6 people who want to take our real estate class. Yeah. And it's like me and Eddie and Nelson, we taught the classes in prison already.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing over with Ink to Ink. When I went in and told them about business management and entrepreneurship, they laughed. The soup laughed. Like, who's gonna?
Everyone.
I had to tell him, do you really realize that 70% of your population is in here for crimes of an entrepreneurial nature? Some of them are fueled by drugs, but they are enterprising. These people have transferable skills and ingenuity that you wouldn't believe. Look at your compound. I told them, look at your compound when you open that compound, how many artists you see. How many craftsmen you see? How many people
So for
selling?
me, it was a double-edged sword because, we've talked about it. I was a jailhouse lawyer in prison, and I was the entrepreneurship guy. And, everybody knows that I'm gay, so I was in a relationship in prison, so I'm trying to spend some time with my significant other. But after lights out, I got guys coming to me with their business plans at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, yo, Kyle, can you get up for a second? I don't understand what you said about this or with this or with this. But the class is, I need your help right now.
I was charging $20 for a business concept, 3 sheets of paper. I was charging $75 to $100 for a business plan.
I was doing a business plan for $100.
Yeah.
I was doing an LLC for $100 plus the money that you need on the street to get it bound.
Yeah, I didn't go too far into the registration, but that kind of turned into my, even though I didn't need the bread, I wasn't doing it for free.
No.
So I was like, okay, bring it on. So I was doing, the concepts and the business plans. But when they laughed, they did put the money up. And this is how Ink to Ink kind of evolved into a nonprofit, because Ink to Ink actually was and still is a competition like Shark Tank that transitions individuals from incarcerated to incorporated from inmates to business owners, right?
Yeah.
So it's a whole reality series that's designed
Have you
to be in
seen
prison.
any of the entrepreneurial stuff they're doing at San Quentin?
I have. As a matter of fact, shout out to The Last Mile. The Last Mile just contacted us and they want to connect.
Yeah.
The Last Mile is one of the original organizations that was founded by one of the guys from Google, right? And man, we were scheduled to go and do a tour earlier this year, but they just got back with us, and we're definitely looking forward to going.
And San Quentin's got
amazing.
a recording studio, a radio station, a newspaper, a radio station. You can wake up and listen to the other inmates on the radio.
So look, this is what I just told Nelson and Eddie. I'm like, bro, what we are doing here, I haven't seen anything like it except for, I told them, California.
San Quentin. Listen, on the father side, because I was going through the stuff. I have a shirt from you guys, not that one, not the education to the incarcerated shirt, but the one about the fathers. San Quentin also just did a prom that I just saw on TV.
Wow.
On social media. They took 25 low risk inmates that had earned it and had a prom where they allowed their daughters to come and, dance the night away with a DJ and punch and pretzels and cake and all this, and they wore tuxedos.
Wow.
San Quentin, props to San Quentin.
Props, hey man, props really to the whole state of California who is so
Very progressive.
forward thinking and progressive in the reentry space and smart justice space, man. For real, man.
Well, I actually feel really good. People ask me every day that I feel really good about the new leadership in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. They're really they got their eyes and minds open to things like this. I think now is the time for that.
I got to give you your shout out too, man, because you've been telling people that these individuals that were going to be placed in position were going to be making the strides that they've been making. And for me, as a colleague, but also as a fan, I've been seeing everything that you've been saying has been consistent and has been coming to fruition. You know what I mean? So to see the new director who used to be a inmate in the Bureau call out his own people and start making moves to make the system better, bro.
That's a thing. I mean, like, and there's other states. Michigan does it. Michigan is notorious. You can work for the Michigan Department of Corrections if you have a felony. And then me and Nelson have a friend, Louis. He's from Ohio, I believe, who is a convicted felon who went back and was a CO at a prison that he had actually been to. Ain't nobody better to work. Nobody. Because they have the credibility with the inmates for having been there before.
Yeah. And the a lot of people who have the misconception that, if you put a felon in a position like that, he's going to be corrupt. No, that felon knows the opportunity that he has is greater than the opportunity that he left as an inmate.
And also, if you're working for the Department of Corrections or the Federal Bureau of Prisons or whoever it is, they have your jacket. They know what you did. They know you better. They have more background on you than any job would ever have.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that, this is the first of many interviews we'll sit down for over the years of working together. But it's just eye-opening that there's people that are on the same page, because I believe that if we can just put, and I already say one and I've already done it, but if we could just put a few people back to work, doing their own thing and being successful, because that is what changes. They commission, Pew and everybody commissions millions of dollars in research into recidivism. Yeah. And what really lowers the risk of recidivism is successful reentry.
It does.
And that's it. Nothing else matters.
It does.
There are so many people that say they got out of prison, they got out of the halfway house program, or they got out of a parole situation, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
And now, because of Ink to Ink and 700, at least in the state of Florida, there's something.
Oh, man. Something special.
Something very special.
Let's put the special part on.
Something very special.
Something very special, man.
All right, Damon, where can people find out more about you and Ink to Ink?
You can find more about Ink to Ink at inktoink.org worldwide. That's our website. And on all the platforms, Ink to Ink. Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. We're on all platforms. Look, we are about forward, progressive, smart justice, and reentry solutions. But look, let's be honest. We cannot do this alone. We need people like you who either are justice impacted or understand the rights of human rights, as a matter of fact, to support us. And, I know it's a bit cliche to say, but we need your financial contributions, man. We can't do it without the funding. We would love to just have all the energy in the world and be able to do everything that we possibly can, but it takes financial support. So if you decide it falls on your heart, hey, donate to Ink to Ink. Proceeds are going to be funneling into our programs, into 700 Reentry School. We got a real opportunity to make some real impact here in Florida and nationwide.
And the thing is, when you donate to a cause like Ink to Ink or 700, a lot of people say, well, why would I want to help prison reform? When you donate to nonprofits like ours, the people that we work with want to help themselves.
Yep.
It's not just like dumping out free money or anything like that. These people that we are helping have taken the first step.
Absolutely.
And we are going to help them show the rest of the way.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Hey, man, thank you for having me on, brother.
We'll see you next time for the next episode of 10 Toes Podcast from 10toespodcast.com.